Tonight, our network-wide reporting all week on the power of water has us looking at solutions. And with the 2 billion people worldwide without access to clean water, those solutions are so desperately needed. What if you could make water literally out of thin air? The technology actually exists and is already helping communities around the world get access to clean water, but can families actually rely on it on a large scale? ABC's chief meteorologist and managing editor of our climate unit, Ginger Zee, has this in-depth report in tonight's Prime Focus.
Across this desolate, dehydrated land in the Mojave Desert, the first drops of water made out of thin air. A new innovation for a small but now famous community. Their groundwater was poisoned decades ago.
What the people who lived around here didn't know is that the water they were drinking, bathing in, and letting their children play in was contaminated with a dangerous chemical, chromium-6.
Tell me, what are these stairs?
These are my stairs going up to my house. You can see where all that was my house up back here.
Roberta Walker. Her name you may not know, but her story you likely do.
That's not what our doctor said. He said that, well, that one's got absolutely nothing to do with the other.
In the 2000 Hollywood film, Erin Brockovich.
But PG&E paid for that, doctor.
This is public road.
Roberta was the real-life woman that worked with the real-life Erin to file lawsuits alleging that California energy giant PG&E contaminated drinking water sources in and around the town of Hinckley, California, and nearby Kettleman City with a carcinogenic form of chromium. The company settled the suits, agreeing to pay about $628 million. She takes us back to those memories as she was raising her daughters.
Did they have symptoms, the girls, originally? Were they in the nosebleeds?
Yeah, the nosebleeds. My daughter, blood would come out of her eyeballs.
Despite the 3 decades that have passed since that original lawsuit, the dangerous chemicals still haunt this town.
That's got to be so upsetting.
It is.
The movie ended, the story doesn't.
No, we didn't take, a giant down. All we did was wake him up, And it's just so sad that people think that we are walking around with $5 million, when we didn't even get a fraction of that.
These stairs are all that's left of Roberta's second home, the dream home she built after the movie.
We were here up until 2020. We had to move again.
And you had to move again because?
The plume had moved northwest of PG&E, and it hit our land again.
You've had to move twice.
We were hit by the same,
because of PG&E's plume.
Same gun, different bullet.
Even though PG&E bought most of the homes dotting the now deserted alfalfa farmlands of Hinckley, about 300 people still live here. Largely because Hinckley, as you can imagine, now boasts some of the most affordable land in the state.
And that's what's so upsetting, because that's where PG&E is still affecting people in other ways, not just the contamination, but they didn't buy all the land. So people who live here, who still own land, they can sell it to other people. They're taking advantage of people that can't afford to buy or build anywhere else, or even rent anywhere else, because this is the cheapest place you can go.
Because it's a toxic.
Because it's a toxic wasteland. That is what, not my words, those are the words from the assessor's office.
But amid this toxic wasteland, down the street from what's left of Roberta's dream home, another home still stands. And what might sound like a pipe dream is becoming reality.
Behind us is the first source hydro panel system here in Hinckley, California.
Safe drinking water, made out of thin air.
It's coming out. And I can just drink this right away?
Totally.
Wow. It's hard for people to conceive of. You can make water from the water in the air. How much?
Absolutely. So our team of researchers at Arizona State University, like 10 years ago, tried to say, how can we take the principles of renewable energy and apply it to drinking water? And what they developed was the hydro panel, which uses a clever combination of a special material that absorbs hydrogen and oxygen, as well as a really clever thermodynamic process to get not only energy from the sun, but heat from the sun to make hot air. And that combination allows us to convert the vapor in the air into liquid drinking water without needing any power or water connections at all. You can quite literally, put these on the ground, point them towards the sun, and make your own drinking water.
It's a fresh way to get safe drinking water in a community that just can't touch the groundwater. This hydro panel relies solely on the sun and the moisture in the air.
And then in its base is where it condenses, and then it pumps up here.
Yeah, the internal water storage tank inside each of these units. So each one of these holds about 60 water bottles worth of water. And again, there's no power plugging these things in anywhere. Right? There's no water connection anywhere. This is a fully off-grid autonomous technology.
Hydro panels have brought drinking water to some of the most rural communities, like deep in Navajo Nation, where it is so sparsely populated, it's basically like one person every 6 miles. About 40% of Navajo families have no running water at all. Many are forced to drive, often for hours, to either gather water or buy it from the store. But the Navajo government contracted the installation of hydro panels on more than 500 homes.
There are so many places around the world that could utilize this.
We have source panels in over 50 countries globally around the world, trying to work with communities to really understand the dynamics to help solve their water problem. But as you said, right, there's a lot of acute drinking water challenges that don't allow people to drink what comes out of their tap, and so they have to go buy it in a plastic bottle. Now,
a hydro panel system lasts up to 20 years and costs about $4,000 up front.
It's about 15 cents, so it's about 7.5 cents a water bottle. So again, more cost effective currently than commercially available bottled water.
But some will say it is not a one-size-fits-all solution.
It may be fitting for some cases, but not for others, just like any other, technology.
Dr. Yoram Cohen is the director of the Water Technology Research Center at UCLA, and he says depending on where you want to build the hydro panels will determine the success.
The key issue is how much would it cost? One has to think about it seriously, whether that's a sustainable solution, because if you are in an area where you have no water whatsoever, the question is, why would you want to actually develop residential? I think for hydro panels, it will produce somewhere between maybe 3 liters to 5 liters per day. A human being requires 2 liters a day. And you have to look at the cost. How much are you paying for a liter of water?
30 miles east of water-starved Hinckley.
It's wonderful to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
I'm Ginger.
Maria.
Nice to see you. Hi.
Maria Monroy welcomes the innovation because it's all about comfort and having safe water for her family to drink.
There you go. Okay.
Maria and her family have been understandably weary of their water. And they still use the tap for cleaning and showering. But like millions of Americans, they rely on bottled water.
There you go.
She says after they saw what happened in neighboring Hinckley, her family chooses to spend money on bottled water, and it's a huge expense.
How far do you have to go to get bottled water?
It's like 20 to 30 minutes. Yeah, probably 30 minutes.
So when what sounded like a miracle showed up, they said, please.
Kind of a wild concept.
Yes.
Especially in the desert.
Yes, where we need it.
Yeah. What's your hope for these, and for, do you imagine that you would see them in more places, more properties?
You know what? Yes, hopefully other people do want to get them in their properties and be able to rely on it.
The problems don't end at Hinckley. From Jackson, Mississippi to Flint, Michigan, there are communities all over the U.S. that can't drink their groundwater. Or probably shouldn't.
Do you have a lot of hope?
You have to have hope. You have to pray and have hope that there's going to be change in this world, and that somebody, somewhere, somehow is going to figure out a way of cleaning up this land, with the water, the air, everything. But will I see it in my time? I don't think so. But I hope that it will happen for my kids and my grandkids.
holding on to that hope. Our thanks to Ginger Zee for that.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.